Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Depressed Dior, and this is Langrisser Mobile Apex Season, I think it's 6. So, changes of the box. Anyone that's been watching my other videos knows that I did pull quite a bit on the most recent banner. I have Tensei Jessica as well as Marielle. My Marielle is 6 stars. I got 7 Marielles and only 1 Tensei Jessica. I also got 2 off banner. Average-wise, it did 20% chance of getting a off banner did average out at least. So with a 6-star Marielle, and she has the ability to guard bypass, I definitely want to try using her. She's a little awkward in this box simply because I don't really have a faction buff for her. I mean, that's not anything new really. I mean, since my Zerida gets banned, most of my meteor tends to be off faction anyway. But I'm getting used to her. Let's just put it that way. Tensei Jessica, I haven't really had much experience with in Apex. I've been using her in Time Rifts, though. Tensei Jessica with Young Jessica is an amazing combination, by the way, because Tensei Jessica can essentially cover all of the weaknesses that Young Jessica has as far as like mobility is concerned. Anyway, so my opponent, main standouts, I guess, does have a Marielle. I do believe this one is 6 stars. SPLN, of course, a lot of strikers, some assassins as well. They banned my my Albedo. Sorry, words are failing me. I think they banned my Albedo because they probably assumed I had a bullet pack. But I was going to be going for SP Freya anyway because I need the faction buff. As you can see, they pretty much in I think every battle I've done with this new box, they banned Tensei Jessica really early. They went ahead and grabbed Landius. Oh yeah, for this fight I did ban Juggler first as always. Went ahead and went for the long range strikers. Went ahead and got my heal covered. That way I had some flexibility for picks. To be honest, I think I should have grabbed Illustrial immediately. I was kind of torn between it because obviously Illustrial would give me a guaranteed, mostly guaranteed guard bypass. SPL win, I was like, okay, that's fine. So here I think it was kind of hard to pick because there's SPL win. Marielle has some distance, especially if you put Breeze on her, which most people do. Mine doesn't have Breeze. So at this point, that left him with 3 assassins, technically 3 assassins. And then, of course, L1's there to clean up as well. The thing about Marielle is the way she sets up her assassination is she usually goes and attacks the tank. And then immediately goes straight into assassination mode. So she can't really guarantee a kill on a tank on the first strike, but it softens them up enough for L1 to come in. It's a nasty combo. I went ahead and took Young Jessica, but at this point I wasn't entirely certain I was going to be able to do much here. They're going to outrange me, unfortunately. But seeing the heaviness on strikers, I got rid of their Tiaras, and I was focusing mostly on getting rid of their AoE because I just did not want to deal with it. I did pick Marielle, and then of course they just took whatever at this point. I went ahead and got rid of the other strikers and went ahead and left them with Old Landius. I think I should have banned Old Landius and left them with maybe Yusuke, but even then, at this point, there are so many hard strikers that Freya by herself was just not going to be enough. Alright, let me set this stuff up. Alright, so let's go over Marielle real quick. Like I mentioned, she is 6 stars. When she's above 50% HP, when she initiates battle, she will take 30% reduced damage, and her attack increases by 20%. This 20% attack increase is amazing. She starts the battle with a commandment buff, which is what this is, commandment. It increases all healing by 50%, and all damage taken reduced by 25%, and damage dealt reduced by 50%. So she's essentially in healer mode right now. The moment, and then after actively attacking, she'll lose a commandment and act again. So essentially, you use the first strike on the tank, essentially to soften up the tank or whatever, and you usually use your 3-cost skill here to get the benefits from that. Drops the commandment, gets an act again, you get the guard bypass, and then you go strike gold. This general setup is you go Prayer, God King's Aegis, and Holy Damnation direct hit. Holy Damnation direct hit is the 3-cost skill. It has a passive effect while you have commandment. If you don't have a commandment up, she has mobility +3, which means once she goes into attack mode, she has 6 movement, 8 if you have Breeze active. If you have the commandment under effect, though, you instead, after action, restore HP from 2 of your lowest HP characters, equal to based off their attack. That's another thing about Marielle. For those who don't know, Marielle is a healer that's based off attack and not intelligence. Then this has an activation where it's 1.8 times, dispels 3 buffs, inflicts a pushback, and if the attack is guarded, you do additional 15% damage. And after taking the action, you get Holy Damnation, which makes it so you deal 20% extra damage and ignore guard when attacking. And then after using this, all skill cooldowns are reduced by 3 turns, last for 1 turn. So essentially, you run in, you make sure that the attack that you swing gets guarded by the tank. That way you get all these benefits. And then you immediately go and attack something else with God King's Aegis here, which does, let's see, assist active skill. Okay, so God King's Aegis, it is a heal ability until you lose your commandment. So when the commandment is up, it's an AoE heal that removes debuffs and grants immunities. And after losing commandment, it becomes God King's Wrath instead, which does 1.4 times, does displacement, and you restore 50% of the damage dealt to yourself, and you move 2 blocks afterwards. So essentially, you do 3 you use, and then of course there's prayer, which is just for, it's a self heal that dispels 2 buffs or debuffs, sorry, and allows you to move 2 blocks and act again. So essentially, you use that to get those extra movements, to get in range, swing at something that's being guarded with your 3 cost, then go and strike whatever soft target you want with the God King's Wrath, and that's essentially how it works. The troops I went with the Zealots. That's kind of her best offensive choice. If you want to be a little bit more bulky, she does have access to Redeemers. Everything else is pretty standard. I went with Spirit Dancer. Yeah, standard offense build here. I didn't go... I was tempted to go... What's it called? Gospel. But it was just going to get dispelled anyway, either by Marielle or by Elwyn. So not much you can do about that there. Weiler here is actually kind of full setup utility mostly. Pretty much the idea is, of course, just get these 2 characters in range and then heal them with high stakes. And then Sage, the old Lanius, is just going to be annoyance. As you can probably guess, he's going to do his 3-cost skill, and more than likely it's going to get clocked. Anyway, sorry for the long rambly start. I kind of use this battle as a way to explain the new character. So yeah, this battle is going to be us kind of just measuring each other up. Unfortunately, my opponent has access to Breeze on their Marielle, so they actually have better legs. I was a little confused about this setup here with all this terrain, but I completely forgot that D-Lit actually can't go through that terrain very easily. But everyone else can. So Elwyn, if he has matching troops, he can go an additional 4 spaces. If he doesn't have matching troops, he can only go an additional 3. So yeah, he essentially has 9 mobility. So I went ahead and set up my guard. One thing you can note, I believe as long as Marielle has a blue aura around her, that means her commandment is up. If it's a gold aura, that means she's in offensive mode. And there's no way to get the commandment back once you get rid of it. So it's a commitment thing. You let her be support in the beginning, and then once you see the moment to strike, you switch her to offense. Yeah, with Landius there's no way I can get by his guard. The only person I can guard bypass is Marielle, and unfortunately my opponent got Breeze and is outranging me right now. I think what I should have possibly done is drop the goddess form and just get out of range, but there's not really much you can do. Once with the Breeze, she gets to here, she prayers for 2 additional steps. She was going to attack somebody at this point. And even if I had chose to move her first before D-Lit, D-Lit would have been outside of guard range anyway. So even without the guard bypass, she would have still been able to... Yeah, so that's with reduced damage from the commandment. And now her commandment's going to go off. Now, if it weren't for the high stakes, I think this would have been almost safe. But I'm not entirely certain that's even the case either, because Marielle, that was 41,000 damage. Marielle does damage, like really good damage. It's actually kind of amazing, because if you look at her stats, like her attack compared to my other strikers is not as high, but it's that 20% attack boost that you get from just her talent that just kind of adds up. So the 3-cost skill did dispel my guard, so that's why Elwyn's able to just run around and just get a free shot. I went ahead and just used this. I knew I was going to lose at this point. I just kind of used this opportunity to kind of see what my Marielle can do. Because when I was doing Awakenings with her, she had like really low HP and all this stuff. But I've had some better luck with. I recently got a bunch of holy enchants, so I was able to boost her stats quite a bit. And honestly, she's pretty good. I'll be able to show some better matches with her soon enough. I just wanted to go ahead and show this off, more just to show. Don't let your opponent have essentially 2 Elwyn's. This is the situation. Marielle can dispel 3 buffs. Elwyn can dispel 5, and they both have really high mobility. Having both of them pretty much ensures that one of your tanks is just going to get slaughtered. If that starts to be the case, you probably want to go double tank at the very least, because one of your tanks is going to die. Redeemers can help if you can get Gospel up, but even then, the dispels, like the moment you get a debuff, the Redeemers are not going to self-res. So yeah, that was a messy fight to say the least. And unfortunately, that killed my winning streak. All right. Still working for my win for the day, or the win for the week, sorry. So my opponent went ahead and opened with banning Angelica, or not Angelica, Illustrial, sorry. Banning my Illustrial, which she's okay on this map. Looking at my opponent, I started changing things up a little bit as far as my ban pick. Usually, of course, I usually look for Juggler and ban him first, because I always have a lot of trouble with Jugglers. But since I'm gradually transitioning back into magic damage, I wanted to go ahead and see if I can deal with Juggler. So I banned Ares first. I was kind of torn between either doing Rian or Ares. Rian's, of course, very dangerous. But if I'm able to get Marielle and a healer, I might be able to survive the AoEs. So went ahead and grabbed SB Freya as always. Again, same situation. Second ban pick is always Zerda. It was Zerda and Tensei Jessica. They went ahead and grabbed Juggler first. I was like, okay, I'm completely alright with that, because that means I can go ahead and get rid of your Rian, get rid of your Assassin. Looking at the rest of the box was mostly AoE at this point. Yeah, the rest of it's pretty much AoE, 2 more tanks and healers, and that's about it. Went ahead and grabbed Young Jessica, because I felt like that was my best chance against Juggler. They go after some of my long leg strikers. They grabbed D-Lit, and I was like, I'm actually okay with that. So that was, yeah, just banned their AoE, didn't want to get pushed around. Young Jessica being pushed is actually kind of dangerous, because she doesn't really have the legs to move. Obviously, I didn't want to deal with any additional terrain effects either. Went ahead and grabbed Marielle. I'm always wary about people banning my Sophia, because then I have a lot less buffing options. But I was pretty convinced that my opponent wasn't going to ban a healer. Because they could see that I have 3 healers and a D-Lit. Like, banning a healer at this point wouldn't do that much. And they actually think those healers are much more dangerous, like Liana and Lycoris. They went ahead and grabbed Rachel here for an AoE. Out of all of them, Rachel's actually the least dangerous for me, even though she can put up 5 dots on yourself, or on my characters. I went ahead and banned Sophia here, because I did not want them to get any sort of passive buffing. Because one thing I noted was my opponent didn't have much faction buff potential right now. Really, they have Origins here, they have a Gospel here, and the Gospel here, and that's about it. So I wanted to force them to take Gospels as much as possible. Grabbed my Sophia, so I have heal coverage and buff coverage, so I have complete flexibility on what I can pick next. They went ahead and took care of Sholinka as well as Dealit. That left me with Shaltir and Albedo. Albedo would give me a pretty decent tank coverage and go double tank. Shaltir kind of would give me a lot more striking potential and also has the capability of dispelling buffs. The key thing about dealing with Juggler is trying to get rid of all of his buffs as much as possible, because once his buffs are down, he's just a big sponge of HP. So they went Rosalia, which I'm fine with. I don't know why people pick Rosalia against. Sorry, not Rosalia. Rose and CL. I don't know why people pick Rose and CL when they go against me. I don't do debuffs. It's literally single target strikes as well. So I grabbed Shaltir for this because I wanted another striker. And my opponent. One thing I guess I noted to note is I got rid of Landius because Landius can reduce range damage. Albedo doesn't provide any additional aura. She's just a tanky tank. So I was completely fine with her being around like that. Also, she doesn't really have a way of buffing herself, so she has to rely on these people to give Gospel for the most part, or she has to take her other guard skill that gives defense. Alright, so this fight I did switch over to Redeemers. I may have mentioned at some point that Redeemers were bugged, where their 20% damage reduction was not being applied. Supposedly that's been fixed, according to Grisser. That's been supposedly fixed. I switched over to Redeemers because obviously Dealit's here and she's Sword, and I didn't want Sword to go against Lance. Obviously there's Unicorns, but also the other reason is Redeemers have better magic defense than Phalanx, so that's also the other reason I grabbed them. Also, my opponent's not super heavy on debuffs, so I mean really it's just Rachel and Juggler that can put debuffs up. So Frey could get a self-res, so that's kind of the plan there. So big thing here is counting steps, as always. Juggler can teleport 4 spaces, and then AoE, I think 3. I think it's like a 3 square or something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. All it matters is I don't want him to be adjacent. That way I can keep attacking. Obviously, Sacred Hymn is a everything type 3-cost skill, where it gives him Triton, Great Dragon Barrier, and B-Shock. So, definitely don't want to be in a situation where he teleports next to my tank and stops me from guarding. Besides that, nothing else to note. Shaltir's the usual. My opponent went Gospel, Runic Void. Jugglers went Faction Buff, Triton, and Sacred Hymn. So something to note is until he activates Sacred Beast Hymn, he cannot guard magic. Triton will let him guard physical though. Dealit here went 2-cost skill, no 3-cost skills, went Sea of Miracles. Yeah, kind of a pretty much hybrid support here type of build that you usually see. Gospel is probably the main thing for it. Risen Seal went no standard AoE Crystal Heal, instead went Miracle. And of course she has her 3-cost skill. And then Albedo went all of this, which block is not going to do anything for her because all my stuff is ranged. So there you go. So again, we're going to be measuring ourselves out. So the thing that makes Marielle a little awkward to use, like I mentioned before, is getting buffs on her. The only buff I can get on her is essentially either Gospel or Sophia's exclusive, which only lasts 2 rounds. So that could put her in a weird situation because essentially she's going to burn one of those durations with the prayer. So her follow-up attack is actually going to be without buffs if I set it up that way. So I was actually a little nervous about how to use her. Also, I just want to take a look at her stats here. That's not... I mean, Shaltir is Shaltir. Yeah, with Zealots and stuff, Zealots actually have really good attack. And her losing her buffs is also bad because Zealots will lose their benefits, but there's not much you can do about it. Even without the benefits, they're still stronger. They still pump out more damage than a Redeemer. So yeah, they're stacking up their crystal barriers and they're getting up Gospels. Gospels with crystal barriers is just 100% redundant at this point. So really the only reason I'm putting up Gospel is just for the actual stat increases. The other thing to measure besides the teleport is of course Rachel's AoE, which is a 5 span from point blank range. So with this, I'm actually in range to shoot Juggler. He's about to lose his Triton, and obviously I want to get rid of these buffs as quickly as possible. That way he can be a bit softer. But Rachel can get to here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, yeah. Right now we're at borderline range of each other. Juggler just moved into my attack range thanks to Breeze here. Breeze was definitely pretty helpful in this fight. It wasn't really, I won't say it was a game changer that much because I could always pass turn to get my 2 mobility anyway. So it's been a long time since I fought a juggler, so I was definitely curious to see how much damage I could pump into him, and it was rather impressive. I mean, I can't one-shot him, obviously, but I did soften him up. I got rid of his guard, not that it mattered that much because he's going to teleport soon, and I don't know what else I got rid of, to be honest. I went ahead and moved Shaltir up. She's still out of range. I want to get in a situation where I can buff everyone at once with Sophia. So with that, this actually puts Runic Void in range of 2 characters, which I kind of wanted to bait out anyway. I don't really have a good way of getting rid of the 5 dots, but I didn't really care that much. I got rid of 1 that way. And Marielle can get rid of 2 of them on her own with her prayer. So here I go, I do prayer, this is going to get rid of 2 of them. And then I'm going to get hit with 2 of those dots. Move in. Do my 3C. Also, I do have a Mjolnir Hammer, which will dispel another buff. So I'm dispelling 4 buffs with this. Did pretty good damage despite my damage reduction. At this point, I'm going to get hit with some more dots. And at this point, I have the only buff I have active is this, which increases damage dealt by 20%, and also ignores guard. So this is my stats. And I am above 50% HP, so my attack is going to increase by 20%. So with that, that essentially means I kind of have a buff already. I was a little concerned because at this point, as you can see, my stats are much lower. And my choices for targets is I could go after Rose and CL, but Shrine Maidens do resist physical at full HP, and I don't have a way of reducing that. Obviously, Crystal Roll. So really, my choices were go after Juggler again, but he'll probably tank it, or go after Rachel. Obviously, Albedo is a non-option, and I can't reach Delit anyway. So let's see how it goes. So I did get rid of all of her buffs. So it's no buffs versus no buffs. So that was 23,721 damage. I want to see. Yeah, so she has almost 21,000 damage, so I was pretty close here. And did I crit? I think it was just a regular. Yeah. Oh, it was a crit as well. So if I hadn't crit, there was a good chance that I was not going to get the kill there. And then, of course, I heal up to full. So yeah, that was kind of a game changer, because at this point that just leaves Juggler and Delit, and they're both strikers. And Delit used to be scary for Freya, but now that I'm a SP class and more resistant to magic, it's actually a lot less of a problem for her. So I shifted down just because I was expecting the teleport to come in. If I hadn't shifted down, he could have teleported right in the center there and locked down 3 of my units. Alright, popped my bubble, but that's okay. There's not really anyone else that can do physical damage besides Albedo, and she's not really a threat. Alright, so 3-cost skill. She's in crystal mode now, which I'm completely fine with. Alright. So again, I'm just focusing on Juggler, softening him up, getting rid of his buffs as much as possible. He's annoying because he always has all those self-heals from his exclusive item, and of course the crystal. So yeah, I passed turn in place. There wasn't really a good opportunity to strike yet. Delit decided to test her luck. It's just against Holy. As you can see, doesn't really do much, even with magic. I think it was just a normal strike though, wasn't it? Oh yeah, because she already burned her other skill. So I went ahead and attacked in place. This was just... I wasn't expecting to do much to him. It actually did pretty good damage. It was, like I said, I was just trying to get rid of buffs. So I pass turn in place just so I can get 2 mobility. And then go for Fireball at this point. Still not enough to kill. I was a little shocked by that. Yeah, the takes magic damage. Yeah, he's just really tanky. Alright. I did a Rose Lash here. Honestly, I shouldn't have included Juggler there, because it just healed him. And I forgot he was immune to fixed damage right now, and he does have same troops, so I can't bypass it. So yeah, I was a little concerned about the center here. Now, one thing I was doing about my targeting in particular was making sure, because Albedo can guard magic right now, so can Juggler. So I'm specifically targeting characters that try to make sure Juggler is the one that gets takes the hit and not Albedo. Alright, all healed up. So here we go again, cleanse. Did enough. So at this point, there was no danger. They can't bypass my guard anymore. They can't lock me down. They can't even AoE me anymore. So it's just literally this good opportunity here. So her moving up to attack actually opens up key target here. Didn't have fixed damage immunity anymore, so I was able to break the Shrine Maiden defenses. And I had already attacked earlier, so I'm now at 2 stacks, so I get my Blood Frenzy extra action and finish off their healer. At this point I could have probably started attacking if I wanted to, but I played it really safe here. So again, trying to do something to my Freya, but do it. Yeah, just can't do it. Nearly just dies from it. I went ahead and dropped my transformation at this point, since obviously the mist is closing in. I did have Fireball up, but I was going to wait. I was going to just get rid of the troops first, and then just wreck her with that way. And as you can see, I'm just taking my time. My opponent only has 2 units, so I can set myself up. My guard's going to wear off, so I went ahead and got in a position where everyone's guarded, and he just gave up. So there you go. A little bit better match. Obviously, I lost Marielle very quickly, but she was able to kill their key AoE character. Dealing with her along with everything else would have been really difficult, because even if her AoE was down, she could have done some ranged magic and just healed everyone with her passive. It would have taken a lot longer for me to actually do enough, get in a situation where I can punch through Juggler. Juggler is still a bit of a pain, but he's not as bad as he used to be for me. I have enough heal variety with some heal hybrid characters now that it kind of makes up for it. And young Jessica is at least strong enough to keep whittling him down, either with dispels or fireballs. So pretty good stuff there. My win rate's above 50% now, which is nice. Still gold 3, and just to kind of show off the new characters. Here's Marielle. So the big issue right now is her enchants. Her enchants aren't. I don't have enough. I don't have any scrolls to spare, unfortunately. I got really lucky with an SR enchant. It didn't have any attack, but it gave 15% HP, so I was just like, whatever, take it. The other ones are alright, but yeah. But my class enchants are okay. My arena enchants are okay. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get any new arena enchants until the end of the weekend. So it is what it is. And of course, soldiers, and she's fully mastered, so she has all of her stuff maxed out. And then didn't get to show off Tensei Jessica. They're always banning her, but this is the setup I have. These extra actions you get while doing assist skills is really, really useful. And then, of course, Light Embrace. I did get a new staff, or another, sorry, not a new one, but another Scepter of Divinity that I plan on giving to her. It'll reduce her damage output, but it'll make it so even at 3 stars, she'll have 4 range when she caps out her stacks. And then once she gets to like 6 stars, she'll be able to go up to 5 range, which is just 1 range short of Young Jessica. So yeah, obviously the plan here is just to try to make a very long range box if possible. But I'm not going to switch her over until I get some enchants on the staff that are actually worthwhile. Besides that, I kind of just equipped her with whatever I could get a hold of. Some people recommend some other accessories, but I went Holy Ring because I don't like it being silenced. But yeah, that's pretty much it for right now. I'm the Depressed Dealer. This was Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 6. See you guys later.